Hey, what's up guys? Sir Emanon here, bringing to you today the breakdown and results of the first ever TCG online tournament held on my very own Discord server. And for those of you guys who are unaware, I actually held this tournament about a month ago, and it was just a current format TCG legal tournament, as if it was a locals or a regionals or something to that extent. And I figured it'd be a great opportunity for you guys to test out different decks, to get to interact with one another on the server, and just in general have an all-around good time. There was a small entry fee of $5 where the top 4 players would take a percentage of the total entry pool, so players definitely took it seriously, and we did get some amazing feature matches that I'll be uploading in the next couple of days. If this sounds like fun to you, then I would implore you to check out the pinned comment or the description of this video to find a link to my Discord server, as I'll actually be hosting another one of these very soon, and entry to this one will actually be completely free. So signups will end next week on Friday, March 20th, 2020, and this tournament will be under Master Rule 5. So definitely check it out if you're looking for a good time and a way to practice Master Rule 5 decks in a semi-competitive environment, and I hope to see you guys there. In this video, I'll be going over the decks that managed to actually make it to the top 4 of the tournament, and there were 15 total entrants, so I'll put the deck breakdown on screen for you guys so you can see what people were up to. I'll be doing a short deck profile for each of these decks, and in the meantime, on the right side of the screen, I'll be posting interview questions and answers from each of the top 4 players if you're interested in more insight on their builds and just their experiences overall. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get right into it. Alright guys, so kicking off the top 4 here, we got Jeebus Occasion's Rocket Dragon Link build, and he finished first place after Swiss, but unfortunately lost out in top 4. And this is obviously a take on Xingpingzhu's UDS winning list, with obviously some modifications as well in the main deck and the side deck. So we'll go ahead and go over his choices and talk about the deck a bit. So we got 3 copies of Absol Dragon, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 1 Black Dragon Collapse Serpent, 1 Destrudo the Lost Dragon's Fission, 3 Jolot Bird, 1 Keeper the Shrine, 2 Magno Rocket Dragon, 3 Nibiru the Primal Being, 1 Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, 3 Rocket Recharger, 1 Rocket Synchron, 3 Rocket Tracer, 2 Silver Rocket Dragon, 3 Starleaf Seifert, 1 White Dragon Wyver Burster, and for the spells, we got 2 Boot Sector Launch, 1 Dragon Ravine, 1 Dragon Shrine, 1 Foolish Burial, 3 Quick Launch, and 2 World Legacy Guard Dragon. The extra deck is Borreload Savage Dragon, Draco Berserker the Tenyi, Beat Cop from the Underworld, Borsword Dragon, Delindrous Dragon, Dragonian Knight Romulus, Guard Dragons Elpie and Pisty, Heretic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres, Quad Boral Dragon, 3 Striker Dragon, Triple Burst Dragon, and Unchained Abomination. And the side deck is 2 Dark Ruler No More, 3 Lightning Storm, 3 Mystic Mine, 2 Anti-Spell Fragrance, 3 Evenly Matched, 1 Imperial Order, and 1 Red Reboot. So to go over some things in the main deck, because I think that's like the most interesting part of this, the extra deck is actually the exact same as Xingping's, and the side deck is very similar with like just one notable change. So yeah, we got the 3 Absol Router, which is different because Xingping only ran 2. This is definitely an interesting choice. I think there is definitely merit to running 3 because if you draw any Rocket plus Absol Router, that is full combo. So it kind of works as a starter in certain hands, but in a lot of cases, it's just a good extender to be able to pitch off a Ravine if you search it off Romulus in the combo. Normally, you try and just go for Spheres. If you guys don't know how this deck works, like normally you try and make Spheres first in the extra monster zone just to play around Nibiru a bit better. But if you are going the Romulus route, then you can go ahead and pitch like Spirit Absol Router Dragons to be able to conserve resources in your hand, so you can get things like Destruder or Keeper of the Shrine into the grave. That way you get extra value while setting up for your rocket plays if you don't open up anything but routers, so that's like one of the good things you can do with it. It also is pretty nice because of stuff like the Rocket Synchron that he played, so this is another searchable, obviously like part of the Rocket package, but on normal summon, it can bring back something like Absol Router Dragon to go into like a Borreload Savage or a Draco Berserker the Tenyi. So it's pretty good for that. And it's just a nice level 1 tuner. It complements your engine pretty well as far as just providing extra options. So it is definitely something of note. Another thing is the 3 copies of Rocket Recharger. So this is one of the better cards in the later stages of the game because when you use your 3rd Striker Dragon as follow-up, you use 2 of them for the combo, but the 3rd one as follow-up, so you can go ahead and use Striker Dragon to destroy itself, bring back Recharger to your hand, and then Recharger can discard itself to revive like a dead Red MD, or it can revive back like an Abomination, or just anything to help board build after either your board gets broken, or if you just want to push for damage through more defensive boards. So Recharger is one of the better cards for that. And increasing the rocket count in general just allows you to play your hands more often, which is why he kind of foregone cards like the Brotar and the Levianeer as well as Phantasme. Those are all cards that were played in the UDS winning list that he opted not to play here. And there's definitely like merits to playing both, or to playing one or the other. I think the thing with Brotar is that like it just helps you in the grind games, as well as there's just like certain instances where you can like search your own Nibiru, especially because he opted to main it here. So like if you get Nibiru, you can use Brotar, like you can summon Brotar off like Seal and then target their Nibiru to search your own Nibiru. That way you don't die, and then you can like use your follow up next turn. So that's like a cool thing you can do. Other than that, I think like Levianeer in this deck serves more as just like a bomb, where you use it later in the game to break your opponent's board, as far as using that purpose instead of like how old school Danger Thunder lists used to use Levianeer to rip cards out of your opponent's hand. Not really using it in that case in this kind of a list, but regardless, he opted to go just for more rockets instead, which is totally understandable. And then the last thing is the Nibiru instead of the Cosmics in the main. Cosmic is obviously a hedge against main deck Mystic Mine, but he obviously, if you are reading the interview questions, was expecting a lot of Lunalight, which is to be, it's pretty fair, although there was surprisingly not that much Lunalight as compared to what I thought there would be, which is pretty good actually. I do enjoy that. I'm seeing like a lot of diversity in this, in the decks that were actually being played. So Nibiru is a good hedge against like the combo decks that he did end up expecting, which is a totally fair choice. And to compensate for that, he actually ended up playing his own Mystic Mine in the side deck. This is to obviously answer for going second against combo decks as well, like when you are siding. But also, like, if you don't want to fully commit, if you're going first, you can go ahead and set up something like a Mine plus a Hieratic Seal, and that's like a pretty safe board, especially if you have like Nibiru in your hand. But it's just like still a defensive measure to be able to like seal bounce something, and then you can like protect yourself under Mine. And like this is one of the decks where you can accrue a lot of resources and then just kill your opponent really quickly. And like you can always just go into Striker Dragon and clear your own Mine by searching Boot Sector, and then playing it over your Mine, or something like Dragon Ravine as well. So like you have a lot of outs to your own Mine, so you're not really stuck under it too often. And other than that, like the side deck is pretty stable, I would say. Like a lot of good going second cards. We got Lightning Storm and Ruler and Evenly for like just general going second cards, and Anti-Spell plus Order is just a really good way to like solidify your board when you're going first, because it like helps against opposing Dark Rulers, opposing Lightning Storms, Mystic Mines, and it's really good obviously against the Lunalight, because not being able to scale Tiger is a big deal as well. So overall, very solid pick for this specific tournament, and I really like the list. Okay, so continuing on with the top 4, we got another Rocket list that managed to make it there. This is Brandon Leong's Rocket Dragon Link deck that he finished second place in Swiss with, but also lost in top 4, unfortunately. And I actually know Brandon in person, and we are very good friends. We go to the same locals, and we actually both go to the locals that Shrimping goes to. So I've actually become quite familiar with how this deck operates, and it's kind of funny to look back on this list, because the list has changed pretty considerably since then, and it's funny looking at some of these card choices in retrospect. But we'll go ahead and go over the list and just talk about certain interesting tech choices, because there's a lot of neat little things that are in here. So we got 2 Absol Dragon, 3 Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, 1 Black Dragon Collapse Serpent, 1 Chaos Dragon Levianeer, 3 Joy Lockbird, 1 Fantastical Dragon Phantasme, 1 Galactic Spiral Dragon, 1 Iron Dragon Tiamaton, 1 Keeper of the Shrine, 2 Magna Rocket Dragon, 1 Omni Dragon Brotar, 1 Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, 1 Rocket Recharger, 3 Rocket Tracer, 2 Silver Rocket Dragon, 3 Starleaf Seifert, and 1 White Dragon Wyverburster. And for the spells, we got 2 Boot Sector Launch, 1 Dragon Ravine, 1 Dragon Shrine, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Monster Reborn, 3 Quick Launch, 2 World Legacy Guard Dragon, and a World Legacy Succession. In the extra deck, we got Borreload Savage Dragon, number 68, Sanafon the Sky Prism, Beacop from the Underworld, Borosaur Dragon, Delindrous Dragon, Dragoon Knight Romulus, Guard Dragons LP and Pissy, Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres, Quadboro Dragon, 3 Striker Dragon, a Triple Burst Dragon, and an Unchained Abomination. In the side deck, we got 2 Nibiru the Primal Being, Scarlet Red Dragon Archfiend, 3 Dark Ruler No More, 3 Twin Twister, 3 Anti-Spell Fragrance, and 3 Evenly Matched. So quite a lot of differences between this list and the last one you guys just saw. So we'll talk about some of the more interesting cards here. So we got Galactic Spiral Dragon. Brandon was very heavy on trying to make Sanafond. So this is a card that you can send off the Dragon Ravine, and when you go into your combo, obviously you're going to be comboing up with the Guard Dragons and whatnot. So this is just a free special, and it allows you to turn everything into level 8. So you can make Sanafon, which is really good against Lunalite. It's good against Salamangreat. A lot of like just the Grave-centric decks in general. It's already against Spiral as well. And it is kind of hard to get to because a lot of the times you don't really want to go the Dragon Ravine route like with Romulus, because like I mentioned earlier, you want to play around a Biru by just summoning Heretic Seal instead. So it was a bit awkward to go into. And it's kind of hard to like go for the play, but if you can, then it's like a good addition to the board. Another thing is Iron Dragon Tiamaton. So this is a card that is searchable off of Brotar, and you can go ahead and utilize it in your combos. So like you can put like your Seal plus say like a Borreload Savage in the same column, and then you can summon Tiamaton to the column underneath the other extra monster zone to lock your opponent out there. This is a lot worse obviously under Master Rule 5, but it's a cheeky little play that you can do under Master Rule 4, just to basically lock your opponent out of extra deck summoning, which is pretty cool. And he is playing the Phantasme, Levianeer, Brotar package. So like Brotar I think is like good because he's playing stuff like Tiamaton as well. So it's like extra value that you can get there. And other than that, we see like the main deck hand traps, nothing too spicy there. But we do see more Reborn cards as well. We got Actual Reborn and we got Succession. Succession is a card that I think is a little bit harder to activate in this deck, just because like it requires you to already be playing the game, and there's only like certain points where you really need this card. Whereas World Legacy Guard Dragon and Reborn are cards that are a lot easier to activate in a lot of cases. But generally speaking, like it's still a good extender if you like do manage to get stopped like mid combo. So it is, it's not like a bad inclusion. It's just one that I think that is maybe a bit superfluous given the fact that I think World Legacy Guard Dragon and is like the better extender for sure, and then like Reborn would be preferable to Succession. I don't think you need like that many Reborn cards, but like if you are really trying to go all in on it, then like that is an option. And then the extra deck again is just like pretty much the same. It's just Sanafon instead of Draco Berserker the Tenyi. So like Draco Berserker the Tenyi, I don't think really comes up super often, and neither does this, to be fair. So this is like the flex spot. But definitely there are cases where you can appreciate the utilities. So it just depends on what you value. I think a lot of people are just gravitating towards Draco Berserker because it's so easy to go into with Tracer. You're just looping Tracer every turn, so like it's not too bad. Like after your board gets cleared, to go into another level 8 synchro that actually helps to clear opponent's boards, because it can attack a bunch of times and just help deal with like it's also a defensive card because it just banishes opponent's monsters. And then we got the side deck here. So I think Scarlet here is like kind of a bit of oversight because he probably just took his real life deck list, whereas we're not playing in time online. So like this is kind of just it's not really that needed honestly. But yeah, I think that the rest of the side is like pretty reasonable. I think Twin is a pretty interesting option. I'm not really sure how much this deck is able to discard cards freely. I don't imagine it's like that much of a detriment, but I think that like stuff like main deck Cosmic is like good because it's a safe option that doesn't require you to relinquish resources, and like even though like you'd be ideally setting this in against like Geist and like other decks like that, you'd still rather keep a lot of the resources in your hand, because like even though you can get started with like 1-card combos or like 2-card combos in a lot of cases, it's just nice to be able to just have all the extenders you can. So like this is like still a very good option. It's just I'm not sure. I haven't played the deck enough myself to know like from a player perspective if this is like actually detrimental, but Twin is obviously one of the best side deck cards, so it's like one of the auto includes. And yeah, I think like for the most part this is also pretty much just doing what Rocket Link is trying to do, ending on like Seals plus Abomination plus a Borreload Savage Dragon with the extra deck rip off of a Silver Rocket. So nothing too special in that department other than the few techs I already mentioned. So let's go ahead and move on to the second place list. Alright, so for the second place list here, we got Rose Dragon Subterra deck, and he finished third place after Swiss, but unfortunately lost in the final round. But here we are with Subterrors, which is a deck that I think a lot of people weren't really expecting because I'm typically more of a combo player. So a lot of people who watch my content are also combo players for the most part. But it's interesting to see that there are some players out there who do also enjoy the control style, which I also enjoy from time to time. But it's not really stuff that I typically showcase. So it's nice to see that we got Subterror making it here. Very annoying deck to play against, but it did very, very well, so let's go ahead and get into the list. So we got 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 1 Subterror Behemoth Umastrix, 3 Subterror Fiendus, 3 Subterror Guru, 1 Subterror Nemesis Archer, 3 Power of Duality, 3 Power of Extravagance, 1 Subterror Cave Clash, 3 Super Polymerization, 1 Terraforming, and 3 The Hidden City. And for the traps, we got 3 Crackdown, 3 Infinite Impermanence, 2 Solemn Judgment, 2 Solemn Strike, 2 Subterror Final Battle, and 3 There Can Be Only One. The extra deck is an extravagance extra deck of 3 Dipoxia Chimera, 3 Muddragon of the Swamp, 2 Predaplant Dragostapelia, 2 Starving Vet Infusion Dragon, 1 Borolo Dragon, 1 Nightmare Cerberus, Nightmare Phoenix, and Nightmare Unicorn, and 1 Linkuriboh. The side deck is 1 Artifact Scythe to pair with 3 Artifact Sanctum, 3 Dimension Shifter, 3 Nibiru the Primal Being, 3 Heavy Storm Duster, and the 3rd Solemn Judgment and the 3rd Solemn Strike. So this is like pretty clean cut Subterror. I don't like really think there's a whole lot to say about this list. If you guys know what Subterror does, it's pretty much just sit on Guru, negate all your opponent's stuff with Fiendus, floodgate them out with like There Can Be Only One, stop your opponent's plays, and just eventually just go beatdown mode. And this deck is pretty well built. I think that it's interesting they went 2-2 on the Solemns. I think that he just wanted more wider coverage for like certain things, like maybe he was afraid of like main deck Twin Twister or just like random threats to stop his board, so that's like why the Judgments are there. But Strike, I think, is like also just a very solid main deck card, arguably stronger than Strike in instances, especially against combo decks. So that's really good. Super Poly is a pretty good meta call if like he's expecting a lot of Lunalight, because like Super Poly can be pretty detrimental in breaking those boards, or pretty instrumental in breaking those boards, I should say. It is also incidentally pretty good against Rocket Dragon Link as well. If your opponent doesn't play around it, it's pretty good there. Crackdown is like really, really good because obviously you can flip stuff down with Guru, so you can like use things that you take with it, so pretty good. And then we got like Ash and Imperm as a hand traps, pretty stable there. There Can Be Only One is still a very, very powerful floodgate. Just like in a lot of matchups, it's really, really solid. And the Cave Clash, I think, isn't necessarily standard, but it is a searchable way to be able to recur resources if you really want to go that far. So it is definitely an inclusion that I don't think every list plays, but it is an option if you are interested in the extra aggression and capability to recycle your lost resources. So that is that. And then the extra deck, I don't think there's much to say here. It's just a bunch of Super Poly targets. This is like for, I guess, Salamangreat. This is for like just random matchups. This is for like Lunalight and just like but it's pretty much like the most common one, I feel. Like I think this is like pretty good against Lunalight and Rocket Dragon Link as well. So like very, very, very good coverage here for the Super Poly targets. Not too much to say there. And then the side deck is like stuff for going first. So the Sanctum package is like one of those like very, very auto win cards going first. Like your opponent has to have very specific responses in the moment, otherwise they'll just get blown out every time. Duster would be presumably for just control mirror matches. The third one of these is pretty interesting. I think a lot of people would just play like would max out on these in the main deck, but if you really want to like board out like certain going second cards, like maybe if Super Poly isn't like the greatest in certain matchups, like you can put these in. Like this would be definitely good in post side to max out on, just because Judgment is so good against like Twin Twister and Evenly and stuff. Lightning Storm as well. And then we got Nibiru, which is like a good going second card because this deck has a pretty hard time going against like established boards without like Super Poly, or if again like you're playing against a deck that isn't vulnerable to Super Poly, then like this is like a good catch-all. Super poly target that I think is a good inclusion is the Earth Golem Administer. That requires a Cyber monster and a Link monster, if I'm not mistaken. So that's definitely a good choice to include. Actually, let me just go ahead and check that real fast. Yeah, Cyber monster and a Link monster. So this is like another good super poly target that you can use against. You can use this against, say, like Spiral, because that like it gets rid of their link board, and all you have to deal with this is a sleeper. Which, granted, that's like the biggest problem with Guru anyway, a sleeper in the Spiral matchup. But it just helps you deal with like one aspect of that board, so you can hopefully try and like recover for the other parts of the board. And then Shifter is something I really like, actually, just because like it's another just card that your opponent really can't respond to in a lot of cases. And like you can go ahead and set it up, and your opponent will have a hard time comboing through it. It's particularly good against grave-centric decks like Salad and like Lunalight, so I really like this. It's a good option. It's another like auto win card, kind of like Sanctum is, so I think that was a pretty smart inclusion. So with that out of the way, let's just go ahead and get into the first place list. Alrighty guys, so this is Lana Drivipus's first place True King Dinosaur list that he actually managed to win the entire tournament with, so huge congrats to him. He actually ended 4th place in Swiss, but managed to go all the way to the finals and take it all. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So we got 3 Baby Ceratosaurus, 1 Dino Wrestler Pancratops, 1 Dogoron the Mad Flame Kaiju, 3 Ghost Ringer and Snow Rabbit, 1 Giant Rex, 1 Drag Aolo, 3 Miscellaneousaurus, 1 Overtex Quatless, 2 Petit Pteranodon, 3 Soul Eating Oviraptor, 3 True King Arnimazood the Vanisher, 1 True King Lithosygem the Disaster, 3 Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, 2 Double Evolution Pill, 1 Dragonic Diagram, 3 Fossil Dig, 2 Lightning Storm, 3 Lost World, 1 Regeki, 1 Set Rotation, and 1 Terraforming. And for the extra deck, we got 1 High Speed Roid Chambara, 1 Trishula Dragon of the Ice Barrier, 1 Abyss Dweller, 1 Evil Storm Exoton Knight, Evozar Dolka and Logia, number 60 Dugaris the Timeless, we got True King of All Calamities, Appaloosa Boa the Goddess, Borwo Dragon, IP Masquerena, Nightmares Phoenix, and Unicorn. We got Pentastag and Underclock Taker. The side deck is the second copy of Dogoron, 2 Nibiru the Primal Being, 2 Mind Control, 2 Mystic Mind, 2 Silent Graveyard, 2 Twin Twister, 2 Dimensional Barrier, and 2 Evenly Matched. So this is obviously a very aggressive deck that aims to blind second in most cases, hence you have things like the main deck Lightning Storm and Regeki. Regeki is kind of funny, but it's actually surprisingly good against Lunalight if your opponent doesn't have an answer to it. So yeah, it's actually pretty effective at clearing simplified board states as well. So it's an interesting inclusion. I think a lot of people are just opting for like things like main deck Storm or main deck Evenly Matched, but this is like an interesting inclusion if you're expecting a lot of certain decks like Lunalight. It's hard to have an answer to this if you just don't open the spell and trap negation, which is pretty interesting to say. But yeah, this deck actually isn't playing Pot of Extravagance, which is pretty interesting. A lot of lists are playing it because it's just like a nice plus, but I also kind of can understand to a degree because from playing this deck a little bit on Dueling Book Ladder, I do actually enjoy using the extra deck quite a lot. And I think it's like a nice toolbox, whereas like when you play Extravagance, you force yourself to pretty much play like 3 Calamities, 3 Trishula, and just like a bunch of random stuff that might get banished in certain cases. But this just allows you to kind of play your whole extra deck. Granted, like you're missing out on the +1, but in a lot of cases, like you don't really need to have like too many specific cards to be able to break your opponent's board, so that's pretty interesting. Or pretty nice rather. Something that is interesting is the 3 copies of Conductor Tyranno. A lot of people are playing just 2, but it is nice to be able to utilize Oviraptor to not have to search this. So you can like use it to search Miscellaneousaurus to give yourself protection, or like you can bin Giant Rex to just get more value out of your Conductor Tyranno, things of that nature. And other than that, I think this is fairly standard apart from the Ghost Ogre. So Ghost Ogre is pretty interesting as a hand trap. I'm not entirely sure why this was played over something like Ash or just like another generic hand trap, but the fact is that it is a non-dino monster that you can use with double evolution pills. So just the fact that it is like a pretty good catch-all, it stops like a lot of things in like control matchups and combo-based matchups, so it's not bad. I personally really like Ash just because it is a fire, so you can pop it with stuff like True King Arnimazood. But overall, like Ogre is a pretty good choice if you want to just like play another hand trap to compensate, or to rather complement your dinosaur stuff, so you can like utilize your pill engine a lot easier. The extra deck is, I actually don't think too out of the ordinary. I think a lot of it is pretty straightforward here. Pentastag is the monster that allows you to do piercing with Conductor if you want to do a lot of damage with it. So that's like something to note. Chembar is nice because you play Aolo, so like just having more OTK options is pretty good. And I believe that's like pretty much all that's really noteworthy and the extra here. And the side has a lot of 2-ofs, but I think that like he has pretty good coverage here. Something that's probably the most interesting is the Silent Graveyard. This is definitely good against Lunalight in particular, just because like Dino can't always go into rank 4. Like they usually can, but they can't always make that Dweller or that Evazar Dorka. So if you can just like activate Silent Graveyard, it just skips a lot of combo players' turns. It's a pretty good like 1-turn stun card. Another example of that is Dimensional Barrier, which has seen a bit of rising popularity. It is gonna get better in Master Rule 5, of course, but like even still, like in Master Rule 4, it is nice to be able to hit like Shaddoll, and it's good to hit like Lunalight, of course. Like it doesn't like entirely stop Lunalight's turn, but hitting Xyz is like still a pretty big deal, especially depending on the build. And then a lot of these are like additional going second options, so I would assume that he would board out stuff like Storm or Ghost Ogre or Regeki in favor of whatever he finds more useful in whatever appropriate matchup. So again, congratulations to Lana Trevipus for winning the tournament. And again, if you guys do want to partake in the next one, which will be once again free to enter, so you guys can play to your heart's content, definitely check out the description or the pinned comment where I'll have a link to the Discord server. You guys can go ahead and check that out, and I hope that you will enter and have a great time, because I'm in there quite often, so if you want to chat with me, that is also a good place to do so. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like as well as any thoughts or feedback in the comment section down below. Feel free to subscribe for more informative and competitive video content. If you want to, you can follow me on Discord, Twitter, or Twitch, all through links in the description as always. And once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I will catch you in the next video. See you guys!